What if I was to tell you that the greatest, largest prison on this planet holds over 8 billion people? And actually, they are defending their captors. And even so, they are so convinced that they actually attack anyone who tries to hand them the keys. This is Morality Matters, and today's discussion is going to be direct, powerful, and definitely controversial. And this is that blind faith is mental slavery.
Free your mind.
So when I'm speaking about blind faith, I am talking, of course, about religion. And people are going to attack me for this episode. By the end of this episode, I'm going to not have anyone that hasn't been somewhat annoyed or targeted in what I say. That doesn't mean that this isn't true. It just simply means it is going against everything that most people, if not almost everyone, has actually been programmed into believing. Religion is the problem of this planet. And I will say here and now, I, for a second, am not telling you what to believe. I'm not telling you that there is no God. Because if you do even the smallest amount of digging and thinking for yourself, you will realise there is a creator of this planet. But it is not to be found in any of the holy books of religion. It is not for anyone to tell you what or who that force is. It's for you to discover yourself and have a one-to-one connection with. So this creator does exist. I'm not going to tell you what that is or who that is or whatever. I'm not going to sit here being atheistic, but I'm here almost paradoxically to tell you religion is the problem that is holding us all back on this planet. And I'll tell you now as well, when I talk of religion, I'm not just talking about the mainstream religions, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, etc. They are only the mainstream common religions that people have, because religion, in its etymological Latin roots, religion simply means to tie back. It comes from the Latin religare. This means to tie back, to thwart from forward progress, to bind us, to tie us back, to hold us and prevent us from making any progress, both within and in the outside world. It says, here is your set of dogmatic beliefs, follow them on blind faith, or follow this book and follow the religious authorities, whatever form they come in. Believe them unquestioningly, done. That's all you have to do, here and no further. It is tying you back. It is the chains that is tying you to the post that is stuck in the ground firmly, surrounded in concrete, covered in barbed wire, and says you cannot go anywhere further. You stay here. You blindly believe. You may be able to do some exploration and look into it, but you best believe you can't go outside that box. Only my book says the whole truth. That way of thinking is the problem of all society, and it comes in many, many forms. It is designed to tie you back and keep you in a mental trap. And any mental trap, any mental prison or mental box is the sole cause of our stagnation and preventing us from actually truly growing and developing and evolving as a species. So I'm not here to just go completely bashing faith and just go completely be all heretic. I'm not here to do that, necessarily at least. I'm here asking you to actually question things, question everything. Stop following blind belief. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm not telling you even what to think. I'm telling you to think. I'm telling you to do your own part, to follow your own path, to do your own work, instead of just saying, this book that I've either come across or most likely was given at a young age and just, that's my path to follow down. I'm not telling you to just do that. I'm telling you to literally question everything that you've ever been told and think on its face, what are the chances that this has just been either man-made or poorly translated over time, or mistranslated or misinterpreted or twisted, whatever. I'm telling you that you should think, not what to think and not what to believe, but I'm telling you that you must follow knowledge and seek for yourself. So without further ado, I'm here to simply try and liberate you from all of the mental prisons that you may have, because we all in some form have had and do have them. And unfortunately, it's mostly based off of where you were born. You just so happen to be born in whatever country you were born in, but at the drop of a hat, you could have been born on the complete opposite side of the planet. And that would literally determine the religion that you would have been born with. The mainstream one mainly, you could have been born in the Middle East and you would have been Islamic, but you could have also been in the Western culture and been Christian. And then you still wholeheartedly believe that is who you are, when actually it's what you've been told to believe in as a child. And chances are you haven't questioned it at all. And if you have questioned it, you may have done some digging, but I can guarantee you haven't looked out the box at least far enough. Because if you do look out far enough, there is no turning back. You'll realise, sure, every religion, as you'll see, has some aspect of truth to it, because it has to. It's not just going to be complete nonsense. It has to have some meat to it. Otherwise, it would just be complete nonsense and people will throw it away. It has to have some truths. Trust me, the Bible does have some gold in there. All of the religions do. As much as people even want to bash the Quran, that has some good things in there. But it shouldn't be taken on its face, because there are a lot of bad things too. It is your job to question all of it, to look at it with discerning and rational eyes. And that's what I'm here to advocate that you do, at least at the start. And whether you're a mainstream religionist, one of the mainstream, Judaism, Hinduism, things like that, or if you're actually an atheist, that is a religion as well. And as you'll see, beyond all of these, government is also a religion. Money is a religion. Different psyops like the Flat Earth movement, religions as well. If there is anything that is simply put into a dogmatic belief system that you cling on to and say, here and no further, this is my place, I go no further than that, that is a religion. And it can very quickly escalate into a cult. And the one mission, if anything, of this channel alone, if anything, other than to help people understand morality, it is to help you realise that you most likely are in some form of a cult, and that your job is to get out of it. Quit your cult. So everyone has their labels, as I've discussed before. Everyone has their mind traps, their prisons, their places that they like to sit back and look for, their lens that they like to see the whole world through. I'm here to help you remove those sunglasses and see the world for as it is, and allow you to take back your power. This power that all religions prevent you from actually accessing, because they say, this is where you stay. Pitch your tent up this part of the mountain. Don't go any further. That's all demons and devilish and chaotic. It's a mind trap, folks. One of the greatest Stoic philosophers of all time, Seneca, said that religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by the rulers as useful. No truest words were spoken, because ultimately what you will end up seeing this all boil down to is that the only real people that benefit from religions as a whole are the ones that created it, and the ones that use it as authority to control the little common people that think that they've got the message and that they're safe and that they're ready and prepared to be faced with God when they die. It's a mind trap that everyone has in some form, and it is used to control and keep you in a trap. And so when we're talking about religion and knowledge in general, and especially when we talk of the occult, both light and dark in the future, you must understand the difference between the exoteric and the esoteric. The exoteric is the information that is regarding and reserved for the public. It's the public interface level, the type of knowledge and almost common sense that is just taken on its face, that is everyone, it's for the people, because it doesn't require much, if at all, any questioning. It's simply the face of what things are. So Christianity, for example, has its on its face aspects, but then also when you dig deeper into the esoteric, which is the inner core. Look at all of this as an onion. The exoteric is the outer shell, the part that you can simply look at and say, oh, that's what this is, when actually the truth and the real spiritual gold of all of the religions, especially, you have to do some work, have to do some digging, have to do put some effort in. Like a worm in the apple. You can't just, crawl around the surface, because you're not going to get very much. You're going to know the colour of the apple and the texture of it, but only when you do some work and start digging into the core of that apple, you get closer and closer and closer into the actual essence, the seed that lies right in the middle. And it might only be a tiny seed, but there is still a seed nonetheless. What you have to do is crawl in, get that esoteric, hidden core of it, extract it out, and then move on. And that's why you're going to see that I eventually conclude your mission is to ideally look into all of the religions in all forms and understand the exoteric outer face, public level of it, and then dig as deep as you can into the real spiritual core. Find the parts that are consistent and actually spiritual gold and that really make sense and resonate with your soul and intuition. Grab that by the horns, throw the rest of it out in the trash. Combine all of them, and then live as a holistic, unified, balanced human, someone who stands as one and knows, not believes, not has faith, knows, knowledge, gnosis. That is the ultimate core, the esoteric core of basically all religions, Christianity especially, which thankfully we're in a Western culture, so this will resonate with you quite a lot. But what I'm trying to get at is the core here is that you must dig in. You must understand the esoteric at all levels. This does tie into the occult, but that's for a future episode. But ultimately, it is hidden information. It's stuff that isn't just on the outside level that's reserved for the masses to just gulp up, People think that exoteric Christianity, for example, is Jesus was a man who lived in the desert back in the day and died on a cross and said a few good things and had some people follow him around and then blah, blah, blah. That's the exoteric outer core. Hey, it still might contain some good parts and some, positive messages. But then when you really do some digging and you look for yourself as a rational master of yourself, when you look into it deeper, you'll realize the esoteric hidden core that ultimately the rulers of the authorities of these religions want you to believe. They've hidden all of this esoteric core, and they don't want you to look into that because that is reserved for them. Because that knowledge differential that they understand, that you just gobble up the outer shell of it, that inner core is reserved for them because they have the power differential over you when they know something you don't. And so, for Christianity, for example, once you dig in a little further, you'll actually understand that Christ, existing in the past or not, Christ is really esoterically powerful when we understand the aspect of Christ consciousness. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive into this today, but because you can look into it yourself for one, but I'll have a future episode on it. When you dig deeper, you realize it's not just about a man that lived back in the day and he died for our sins. It is someone that is a role model, an archetype, a metaphor almost for someone that lived a virtuous, selfless life, that said things, love thy neighbour, do unto others, help thy fellow man, all that stuff. That's the esoteric core. As you go deeper and deeper, you take these messages and realise Christ wasn't just a man walking around with sandals back in the day and a nice toga or whatever. He was just another person like you and me that embodied this archetypal force of the mastered self, the person who is good and who understands morality and spirituality and takes it upon themselves and says, no matter what, I understand and I'm going to connect with the divine intelligence all around me. I'm going to connect with that, embody it, be one of the gods, the son of God, and help my fellow man do the same. And there are many examples of this actual teaching, but the point is you must dig into this esoteric core. And it's just one example of how you can go in and see that there is a real truth behind it. But once again, you shouldn't just look at that and then say, I've got Christianity hooked, job done, I'm stuck here. You get that, all good. Then you go into Islam, for example, you go into Hinduism, you take all of the good esoteric cores, throw all the junk away, and trust me, there's a lot of junk in all of them. And then you keep going. I've said before, if there is one religion you have to follow, let it be truth. Truth is the only religion. There is no religion higher than truth. But if you want to have an ism, take omnism, the belief that every religion and belief system has some aspect of truth. Take that, run with it, and chuck the rest of it in the trash where it belongs. You can see the exoteric versus the esoteric in all of the different religions. As I've said, Christianity, there's love thy neighbour as thyself. But then on the perverted, twisted form, we have obey the church. The Pope is the master of us all. He is the descendant of Jesus Christ. He is the true master in our current times, and what he says is gospel, and it's taken down from the Lord. And believe the priest. He is the one who connects with God. Screw everything else. It's not like you connect with God yourself. No, believe the priest. You see the difference here? You have Buddhism advocating in its esoteric core, look within, meditate, spiritual practice, don't be an aggressor upon other people, be this sort of, obviously not New Agey, but this spiritual being, the Buddha within, instead of donations, and just live out in the middle, in the East somewhere, and just meditate all day, and just don't have any physical possessions for yourself, and go out every day trying to get your only meal. And it's all taken to the extremes, and they all have their extremes. They all have their authorities that live in their lovely palaces while the poor people starve. They're no different, and they've all been perverted and twisted. So you have to take the esoteric core of all of them. Even Islam, as much as people want to just completely bash it on its face now, hey, there's some good truth to it. There is the, we're all one family, brotherly love, the respect and adoration for the creator of the universe. Take that, or kill the infidels, and, all you do is worship and bend over. There's levels to it. It's all about questioning for yourself. And I'm not trying to bash anyone's belief systems here. I'm just trying to help you realise that you must be questioned. And so here we start to break down the real cracks in the foundation of religion. Division. Control is one thing, but division is the real issue, especially in history. All it takes is a brief glance at a history book to understand the amount of times genocides, pure, horrific wars, genocides have literally gone down in the name of, I fight for God. My religion is what is true. Your religion is false. And that doesn't even have to be, Islam versus Christianity. They're done within religions. You have Christianity, you have the Protestants, you have the Catholics, you have the Orthodox, all these little subsections of, no, my translation's better, the person that, the one that formed my church is better, my slight different variation of things, no, I'm true. Folks, once again, I'm not just trying to be harsh here as much as it has to be. I can hope in the year 2025 that you can have the mental ability for a second to question, am I really doing the right thing here, thinking that I have picked the right one, that all other religions are nonsense, but I am correct because I not only chose Christianity, I chose Protestantism, I chose to be a Catholic, to be an Orthodox. You're really telling me you have sat down for months, weeks, hours, years even, and actually looked at the opposing research, at the different holy books, at the differences between all the different denominations. You're telling me you've looked between all of those and went, yeah, out of all of them, this is the one that makes sense. Screw the rest of them. They don't have any truth to them, let alone saying, oh, they all have some truth. I'm going to be a holistic human and combine all of them, like a true master. No. They're all wrong. Henry VIII was correct when he formed Protestantism. The Pope is correct because of Catholicism. The Vatican, what they say is law. Forget all of the paedophilia. No. It's, whoops, they just made some mistakes. It's just, you're pitching the tent up the mountain. You cannot look yourself in the mirror and be serious and really believe with all your heart and say to yourself, I've picked the right one. No further than here. I've picked the right denomination. Screw everything else. I'm correct. If that's where you're at, in the nicest way, you're a mental toddler. I'm sorry that I have to be the one who tells you that, but it's the harsh truth. You have to realise all of the religions have their different divisions and schisms and their denominations. It's all division. As you'll see, as the tapestry of what I teach goes on, divide and conquer, especially between the genders, but that's a whole different conversation. Divide and conquer and schism, both within, but especially between everyone. That is the biggest weapon of the people that control this planet. It doesn't have to be that way to have a control system or an authority. In fact, I'm completely advocating the abolition of all of that. Division is the one thing that is, and always will be the root cause of our suffering. And this is only the first reason why I say that religion is screwing us over more than anything else. All it takes is a small look at the history books to realise horrific acts of violence, skinning people alive, just straight up murder, torture, abuse in all forms have been in the name of someone thinking that their different translation of a different book that was written by God knows who, in God knows what circumstances, they were correct, but they weren't. It's all division and schism. And hey, it doesn't have to be a complete, everyone's on the exact same wavelength. That would be nice, but let's be fair realistic here, because especially now there's 8 billion people on the planet, everyone's not just going to immediately be of one mind. Eventually, maybe that's the plan, but all it takes is for people to just step back, and even then, even if they want to still cling on to a denomination, they have to realise, hey, I believe what I believe. That other person, if they want to believe that, as long as there's no infringing upon each other, especially upon the children, hey, we can live in harmony, who cares? There can still be Muslims, there can still be Jews and Christians. It doesn't matter. As long as people are conscious enough to realise, stop the division. People have been saying this throughout history, we are all one, come together right now, And the people that actually have the loudest voice that says stuff like that, finished. And there's a reason for that. So no matter what religion you take, there is always going to be a divisive aspect. It's always going to be based on a different authority or a different tiny translation of a Bible or a belief in a specific book over another or holy lands and all this stuff. Folks, grow up. I'm sorry I have to say it this way, but grow up. It's shameful. I'm sorry. Please, just question for yourself. That's all I ask. I won't continue going on a rant for this because there's a lot more to get through here, but please understand that division is the biggest weapon that prevents us from improving societally. And if we're taking a step back on this division, beyond all the mainstream spiritual religions, the mainstream ones, we even see it in the biggest religion, or the religions of all. Politics. Left, liberal, Labour. I'm correct. Screw what everyone else says. On the right, conservatism, Tories, Republican. I'm correct. Screw what everyone else says. It's not as if both of them actually have some aspect of truth, and that maybe instead of we should do this. Maybe, just maybe, The solution lies in the combination of the most important and powerful aspects of both. We combine them. And instead of being divided, just like we saw last week with the left brain and the right brain, utilize them both. Wow! How hard is that? But no, instead, we want to follow the same nonsense control system dialectic that has been given to us for thousands of years, that doesn't have to be changed because the childish masses still fall for it. My side's correct, your side's wrong. The pendulum swings left, right. Maybe reform will come in this time. Maybe the Green Party. Maybe Elon Musk will make his own political party and then we'll follow that one. Yay! It's all just different aspects, denominations, divisions of a religion. You have to take the step back. Gather the truth that lies in all of them, no matter how dense or sparse that truth is in each of the different parts. Combine them, and then you are doing this towards the truth instead of this. Because this causes smash, violence, arguing. That's why the left-right paradigm, for one, has been created to keep us constantly dividing and on sides. Only when we go in holistic can we win. And hopefully already through my work you've seen this is the overarching theme of everything I talk about. Combination, holistic, one within. That is the answer. Not because I say it is, because that's what you'll come to see, as above so below, in everything that is the root cause of the problems in our society. Division, schism, divide and conquer. We are a piece of cake to rule when we cling onto one side and fight with the other. And another rant I won't go for, but all it takes is one side to be actually the opposer. It doesn't even take two to tango. All it takes is one person doing their thing. As long as someone else is divided to and schism to them, they start attacking, the war begins because they have to defend themselves and bang. That's how it goes. The job is to combine and become one. Anyway, politics, just another religion. It just has a different pope. It has the president. It has the parliament. It has its different rituals. It has its fancy black robes and its ritual equipment. It has the gavel. It has the fancy cane, the golden canes and their lovely pews, their green seats in parliament. It has their lovely robes and their suits. It's all just different types of religion, folks. And you may not see that. That's because they don't want you to see that. Science, or scientism, as we're talking about here, just another religion. Who's the priest? The man in the white lab coat, the lovely government-funded, greedy, money-hungry, symptom-based, dogmatic, authoritarian, left-brained egghead. Just another priest in just another religion, different competing theories with their little studies. They're all funded by the same source. They're all symptom-based. They never come at the cause, ever. Just another religion. Atheism, as we've spoke about, it's the belief in non-belief. Just another religion. Just another belief system lens to look at everything through. Here and no further. And in this day and age, you're a lost cause in my eyes if you're still an atheist, but whole different discussion. Economics. Capitalism versus socialism versus, just Marxism, Labour, Conservative. Everyone has their little denominations and their religions. That's all it is. Social movements. Rights activism, blah-de-blah-de-blah. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And most people this day and age, it seems as if they're almost playing a scavenger hunt of how many labels can I get under my belt? How many flags can I put on me? How many medals of this label and this and this and this and this? How many can I collect? Gotta collect them all. It's the Pokemon religion mentality, you could say. As each label goes on, you are shoveling yourself further and further down to the pit. And we all know what happens when you go 6 feet under into that pit. there's not much getting back up. And what I'm here to help you do is to realize, hey, wake up. You're digging yourself a hole upwards towards the sunshine and the light and the beauty and the grass and the nature. Upwards, not downwards. And all you have to do is start questioning things and take a step back and really look for yourself and learn for yourself. That's what I'm advocating for here. And I won't spend too much time on this one, but the biggest religion of all, money. Money, 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 money. It rules the world. It makes the world go round. Don't get me wrong. I like money as much as the next guy. We all need it to live. It's, unfortunately, in this day and age, necessary to live a comfortable life. But if you only think that's all that matters, then no matter who you have to step on, no matter what you have to do, and screw everything else, money is my thing that I cling on to. All I care about from my waking moment that I wake up to the moment I go to sleep and even dream about, it's all money, money, money. Any billionaire will tell you it's not what it's all coped up to be. Of course, we all need it in some regard, and it has to take, until you're financially stable enough, you have to take it into consideration. You have to still work for it. But anyone who's really on the right path will tell you it is a byproduct of a higher purpose. It is a benefit, a bonus of doing the thing that you came here to do. And we all have different aspects of what we're here to do. But I can guarantee you that be all and end all of what you're here to do is not to live every waking moment serving Mammon, the god of money, the Mon-I, the false one-eye, the all-seeing eye. It's not the real one-seeing or all-seeing eye, Mon-I of the creator of the universe. No. It's that lovely green, which is no accident, by the way, that it's that colour. That lovely dollar bill. It's that number on the screen that just can't ever go up to enough. It's live for money all day long. This doesn't even need a division because it's so powerful and overarching that 9.9 out of 10 people in this day and age live for it. And it's one thing worshipping that as your dogmatic belief system, religion, be all and end all in the first place. It's one thing doing that, but then when we really get into trouble, when you go full satanic mode into screw whoever I have to mess over, I'm chasing money, no matter who I have to harm, no matter who I have to shoot, rob, whatever. As long as I get a paycheck, happy days. Just another religion. And there's even a great movie about this called The Box with Cameron Diaz. If you really want to see this dynamic even further of just people don't care who they kill. If there's a paycheck, a big load of zeros that follow, let's do it. And until we get over that, for one thing, let alone the other religions, until we do that, we can only go so far in our progression. And the people that run this world, they are the biggest servers of it above all. By no means am I saying that the people that run this world just worship money. That is only a certain level, because it does get to a point where, guess what? This all-seeing one eye, this money that we all worship, it's just numbers on a screen. It's just something that we can type away at and create and print ourselves. It gets to a level where they have so much money they couldn't spend it in 10 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes. So they seek power. And those power structures are where we see the people that create your religions, that control you and tie you back from making any personal progress and then eventually any societal progress as a whole. Money, government, religion. It's the unholy trinity that holds us all back from progression as a society. And so as one example of this horrendous power, authority structure that comes about from religion, the Vatican. I highly urge that you watch a documentary called Sex Crimes in the Vatican. It's a little dated, and there's many books on this topic. It's almost common sense in this day and age, thankfully, but people still don't really care in the whole of it. Just brush it aside. The Vatican, especially the Pope, they are the biggest protectors of paedophiles. Paedophilia is probably one of the worst things that we can do as humans. Children are the essence of light and potentiality and innocence and light and love. And what do they do with them? Unspeakable acts. And what happens? They move the priest that is accused of it, and trust me, there are many, even in 2025, many cases of these priests doing things that shouldn't even be done to adults sometimes, let alone children. And what happens? They get moved to a different church. It gets swept under the rug. Doesn't make the newspapers, of course. Doesn't even get mentioned. Swept under the rug. Either, stop them being a priest, or they don't even do that. They just move them to a different church. It all gets swept under the rug. And what happens? The Vatican becomes the biggest protector of paedophiles. It's almost laughable. Almost, you couldn't even write it in a story, in a comic story, if you wanted to, that people think that one of the holiest places in the world, the Vatican, the lovely artwork and the palaces and holy places, one of the greatest and most holy places in the world, is actually the home of some of the most demonic, evil, horrific people on this planet. And that's talking about the child abuse in of itself, let alone the huge gatekeeping of information that they have. The Vatican archives, miles of information that has never seen the light of day, and the people that are granted to go down there are either ones that are working for the dark agenda, or journalists that have to walk through with security guards and can maybe look in a different direction, but they can't stop, they can't touch anything, they just walk through, and it's all hidden, archived, reserved knowledge just for the authorities and the holy people that wear their fancy uniforms and their lovely little caps. They laugh at you. They have the facade of being lovely, holy, virtuous old men and people and lovely priests and bishops. They are the problem. Not completely, because the problem ultimately is in the face of a mirror, but they are huge cancers on this planet in many ways. It's just stupid. They're talking about give to the poor and help the homeless and the unfortunate. Meanwhile, big golden palaces, lovely lavish rituals and fancy events, and not to mention the amount of money that the Vatican reaches up through tourist tax alone. Blessed are the poor. When's the last time any of them even gave a penny to the poor? Maybe in their little schemes and things like that, which is often just money laundering anyway. It's all a facade. And people still fall for this and think that these holy people are even anything near holy. It's a joke. And if you really want to get into it, if you look into the core of Christianity, Jesus Christ himself was killed by these people. The Pharisees and Sadducees of his time, the money changers, the government, and the religious authorities of the time. He spoke up against all of them in some form. And what did they do? Well, the people as well, that spoke with one voice. Free Barabbas, the murderer, and then crucify Jesus. Kill him in one of the most horrific ways possible in those times. Kill him because he spoke against our lovely authority and our church state and our people wearing their fancy robes, and they have all the money and they create the laws for us, don't you know? And he spoke out against that. That is the esoteric core and one part of it for Christianity, and it's brushed under the rug. Not to mention the people that actually killed him by their actions was the centurions of the time, the police of their day. That's a whole nother topic. They wanted him dead because he spoke out against the authority. He never said, start a church and have these fancy buildings that people go into once a week, and then they don't have to do anything else other than just believe in me. Don't do action. No. Don't be a virtuous person and help your fellow man and live a virtuous life and try and achieve Christ consciousness like I advocate, and realise you are a son of and an actual God, a manifestation of the Creator. No. I am the only creator of this universe. Me, Jesus Christ. It's exoteric versus esoteric once again. And he spoke out against the wrong people, just like I'm trying to do. And what do? Pin him up, leave him out into the sun to dry. That's what happens to people that speak out. And that is the true message. Not start a church, not have this pope and this and that. And hey, some parts they do say things like that. You'll end up finding that it's been either mistranslated, parts have been taken out, whole books have been taken out of the Bible, but that's a whole different topic. Hey, one of the books that even in the Bible that even talks about the authority of government, it's ordained by God. Hey, what was the name of that book? Oh, Romans. Oh, so you don't think that the Romans put that information in there? Romans 13, mind you. Where does the Vatican lie? Oh, in Rome. Start linking the dots and you'll realise it's not all something that you should just cling on to and not actually question. And so, in this day and age, instead of the religious leaders or the kings and queens even being the full leaders, the be all and end all, we have the state as the new God, the unquestioning lawmakers. It's not God, the creator of this universe, which isn't a man on a cloud, by the way. It's the all-expansive, infinite consciousness all around us and within us. It's not that. No. We are God. The people that sit in the lovely Parliament building or was elected to be a president. No. We create the laws of the universe, not the ultimate creator of everything. We're going to call ourselves Christians, but we make the laws. Don't worry about it. They are just a different form of priest. Once again, it's all as above, so below. It reflects all around. And the state is the new God. They have their sacred buildings, their monuments, their domes, all different occult symbolism hidden in all of them. You know, the dome being the breast, the obelisk being the phallus. It's subconsciously affecting everyone. And they don't realise it, and they'll fight you when you actually point it out to them. I'm not calling you stupid. I'm just saying that these people have hoodwinked you, and you have the power to free yourself from this. They have their commandments, they have their lovely books with their parchment and their calligraphy and their fountain pens, and we do our fancy rituals, so now what we say is law. The whole crux of this channel is to show you the only law that really governs humanity is natural law. The laws of the Creator that cannot be changed no matter what, where, when, who, what, when, where, why, how, cannot be changed. They have always existed, are, and always will exist, and they are not created by a man. They exist, they are simple, elegant, do no harm, don't infringe upon another's rights, respect their property, etc., etc. All of the natural law aspects I've spoken of in previous videos. That is all. The rest of it is redundant at best, and beyond that, it's downright tyrannical, fascist. As much as people like to throw that term around these days, it is just man saying, I'm God, I create the laws because I do my fancy rituals, but we're not a religion, don't worry about it. We do our fancy rituals, and you are going to follow these rules as law. Otherwise, we put you in a cage, and we get our thugs to come in, give you a nice little whooping, handcuff you, take you away, chuck you in a cage, job done. because you didn't follow our man-made laws that are changing based on location, changing based on the time of year, or very specific one-off incidents that may happen. That the laws may change back and forth. Countless examples show that. It's junk. There is only one law. There's only one rule. As the whole catchphrase of this whole show, there is only one rule: do no harm. Simple as that. Instead, bow to the Creator instead of the flag. And people love to wave their flags no matter what it is these days. It's just another thing. If you were to put on the sunglasses of They Live, a great movie, put those on, they're waving this flag. All they're doing is waving a stick in the air that says, I have a religion, I have a religion. I was mind controlled into believing something else, something that opposes with what you believe. I'm a gullible so-and-so. Think for yourself, folks. That's all I advocate you to do here. And I know this episode is quite, ranty and direct. I'm simply asking you to empower yourself. This is all I want for you. And you'll never, in a million years, you could watch every Pope speech, every president speech, every parliamentary debate. Never once in history or in the future will you hear them stand up, look directly in the camera and say, people of this country, reclaim your power. You have the power. Be a good person. Help your fellow man to do the same. Do no harm, etc., etc. Never once will they say that. Instead, follow my laws because I said so. And if you don't agree, to the cage you go. So, no matter what it takes, just another religion. Scientism, the lab coat priesthood. It's rigid left-brain skepticism, eggheadism. It's maybe they realise they've got some sense in them to realise that the mainstream religions have been heavily flawed and have been bastardised over time. They may have the somewhat wisdom to recognise that, but instead they swing to the other side of the pendulum, right into the arms of the religious lab coat priest, which is funded by the exact same people. It's just another religion. Government funded. I've seen it for myself. In the scientific industry, an agenda or a result is wanted to be found. They pay scientists to do certain studies, and they keep going until they get the result they want. No matter how flawed the study is, doesn't really matter. That's only for the scientists to, talk between themselves about. All they have to do is get their results, put it on the front of a newspaper of studies show, and boom, there you go. Everyone just believes it on its face. That's all it takes. It's corrupt. It's power-based, symptom-based, etc., etc. It's left-brained nonsense. It has some truth once again, because we obviously have to understand science, just like we have to appreciate the value of religion. It's to be combined. I gave a great quote a few weeks ago. The father of quantum mechanics, Heisenberg, I think his name was, said, the first sip of the natural sciences will leave you an atheist, but at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting. This is because true, esoteric, real science has space and really allows for the creator, for spirit, for consciousness to be involved. It's not just pure atoms and randomness and evolution versus creationism. They interject because science is the how. God is the why and the what. They all are to be combined. Scientism, just another religion, something for people to cling on to and not look onto the other side, just another schism, religion versus science. It's almost like we've got to do a bit of this once again. Real science, the esoteric core, is right in the word, just like religare. Science comes from sciere, or scientia, some say, and this simply means to know. Real science At its core is knowledge. Gaining knowledge, not belief, not faith, not someone told me or it was written down in an ancient book, so I take it on its face and I don't question it, otherwise you'll get punished in the fiery pits of hell. No, it's knowledge. And this, funnily enough, is the real core of religion. Gnosis, Gnosticism, knowledge, one-to-one self-work to find and get rid of the inconsistencies and learn the truth. Because what is the possession of truth called, or the acceptance of truth? Knowledge. The highest and only religion above all. Science, of course, just does it in a different way. Instead of, the ways of religion, you can do different spiritual practices and things like that to find this out. Instead, it, uses observation, testing, questioning. All has its place. A bit of this is all it takes. Instead of falling into scientism, we have to understand the role of science and the role of religion and how they both can serve as a perfect equal. And finally, science just has its other dogmas, climate change, as much as it may have some credibility. Big studies show blah, 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 blah about the climate change. If you dare to question it, you lose your science credibility. You lose your status. You lose your job, perhaps. We saw through COVID, any doctors that spoke out against the vaccine, you can't stand out against that. It's settled science. Trust the science. Even though anyone who understands what science really is will understand that it's never just settled. It's about constantly continuing and testing hypotheses, not just saying, this is it, don't question any further, especially when it was in a few years, if that, time period of where they get their results that have definitely not been government funded or completely corrupted and skewed. That is gospel. Don't question the settled science. Don't question the Bible. It's all just another religion, folks. Symptomatic. Once again, it's just a different way to look at it, and it's unfortunately it's been corrupted. Once again, to finish off the topic of science, look at a huge one of the greatest scientists of all time, Nikola Tesla. He said, science, one of the best quotes about it, science is but a perversion of itself unless it has as its ultimate goal the betterment of humanity. That is the goal here, not to have just another thing that allows us to sell another product or make a different drug or to another procedure or a different way that we can put people under the knife and give them one solution and then causes 10 other different problems. No. Real betterment of humanity, not, false facade-based. We're trying to help the people by curing their headaches and then causing 5 other different, liver problems, for example. Real focus on trying to better humanity for the distant future and near future. Real human progress is what science should be about. And that's what science can only be about when it's real, proper science, not government-funded crap. And what happened to Tesla? Ostracized, completely laughed at, criticized. It's what happens to the greats. Anyone who actually really wants to help out. Stan Meyer, the guy who came up with the ability to fuel cars with water and have its waste product as oxygen. What happened to him? Poison. It happens to all the people that actually have any true desire to better humanity. The people that don't kowtow to the people that control, that fund them. So, to put that point at rest, to put all of this at rest, if you haven't already gathered already, the real solution, even I don't have to say, you will come to see for yourself. When you look into the esoteric cause of all mainstream religions, especially in the holy books. If you look further than just the stuff that may have been mistranslated or is too literal, when you really look past and look at the deep, esoteric, spiritual core message, you will find the solution to all of this. And do you know what that solution is, folks? The solution to the religion trap, mind trap, is that God is within. No priest, no mediator, nothing like that is necessary. All that is necessary is some alone time, maybe some knowledge, preferably. But all it takes is look right here, no matter how long it takes, but do it, and you will see your world change dramatically. You'll see the numbers line up. You'll be seeing 1111, 333, 444. You'll be seeing it, and it's the little winks, the little nudges of the universe going, hey, you're waking up. You're seeing some things, eh? You're realizing the existence of that matrix there. You're stepping out and stepping back and taking your power back. It's to look within, because you have to realize these religions that tell you that God is a man on a cloud, or it's a evil man looking down at you saying, do this, but don't do this, but do this, because I said so, even though it doesn't make sense and a lot of them contradict each other. Do it, otherwise you'll go to hell. The demons, they're everywhere. That is what the exoteric religion wants you to believe, when the truth is God is not separate. It is one. God is everything, everywhere, all at once. It is pure spirit, consciousness, everything. And we can gather certain parts and aspects of knowledge of what that is, but by no means can we ever get to a point, at least personally, at least now, of realizing the full totality of what this mind of God is. And you don't have to. You simply have to understand that there is a God, for one, at the very least, and that it is everywhere. It is everything. And us especially, the thing that is so beautiful about us compared to animals especially, is that we are past the threshold of being able to realize and actually rationalize the fact that we are all simply spiritual beings having human experience, and that we are an expression of the mind of God, experiencing itself to learn and grow in consciousness in this brief drop in the ocean of time, of eternity, that we call one lifetime. Because 100 years is nothing in eternity. And it's simply just this all incredible God that is everything, everywhere, at all times. It's that having one little, it's the massive tree with one branch coming off, and right at the end, that leaf is you. When you die, the leaf falls off the tree, the branch remains, the tree definitely remains and cannot get cut down. It's just that other expression. And then when you die, you return back to source, infinite consciousness, infinite energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred. And so you'll really see, when you look into the real spiritual aspects, God is not only within, but when we die, it is only a transformation of consciousness. It is a lifting of the VR headset, and we return to source. And who knows what awaits us? But what I can tell you what it isn't that is awaiting us. It's just some pure fiery pits that's waiting for you and saying, you drank wine once on a Wednesday, and you fornicated one too many times, and you said some curse words. To the depths you go. I'm not saying there's maybe not some punishment, but a lot of these very simplified things of hell specifically, it's either taken too literally, or it's distorted. It's used as a fear and control mechanism. It's a child's view of seeing it. There is definitely some punishment. There is definitely karma to it. And I'm not here to be telling you the specifics of that, because we don't necessarily need to know. We need to know that it exists, and that's why we shouldn't do wrong. But it's not one or the other. Heaven or hell is the place that we create here and now. It's the place that we are here to try and create the good version, obviously, because God is good and God is love. We are here to create that. And it can go either way, because we have this little thing called free will that allows us to either create a paradise on earth or an absolute tyrannical hellhole. And as you'll see, hopefully already in the past already in some of my videos, but as time goes on, you would be in a dream world if you were to tell me that we are working towards that paradise. It's not impossible to move that way, but unfortunately, in the year 2025, we are digging and digging and digging. And there gets to a point when we hit that 6 feet and the coffin is there waiting for us. And once that coffin door closes, and their date for that is 2030, by the way, we are digging down and down, and there hits a point where we cannot get out of that coffin. And so you must realize we have to get out of this place, this place of spiraling, diminishing tyranny and dystopia that is being created. We have to move upwards, otherwise we are screwed. And to really further this analogy, just quickly, look at the cross section of the Egyptian pyramids of Giza. You'll see the entry chamber. You can either go down below ground into the depths, the pit, the mud, where it's going to be very hard to dig yourself out of. And if you do have to, it's going to be the escape shaft, which you're constantly climbing upwards. Or you can go upwards. You can, initiate yourself into the occult traditions and the spiritual traditions, move up into the Queen's Chamber, where you actually have some spiritual knowledge. And then you can move up even further into the King's Chamber. And that point is where we really, really allow ourselves to escape out the escape shafts, out of the pyramid, into beautiful cosmic potential of creating paradise on this earth. I'm not talking about some lovely utopia where everyone's just one and we're all kissing daisies and peace, man. We have to be a bit more realistic than that. But I'll take anything that is beyond what we're working towards now, or what is being worked towards us, for as long as people stay ignorant and cowardly. So God is within. We can scientifically discover evidence of a creator through the observable effects for everything that you see. As much as people want to see randomness and atoms and gravity, it's all holographic simulation. And even quantum mechanics will show, people are finding this out now in the new science. It has universal laws for us to discover and abide by, to allow us to maximize mostly, to progress us evolutionarily. And then the physical, spiritual realms are not either one more important than the other. They are existing simultaneously. They are both to be understood. They are one and the same. And as you'll see in a future episode with the 7 Hermetic principles, it all is mind. It is all just one expression of mind. That is why the state of is the word meant. Government. The state of control. Mind. Mens mentis. Mind in Latin. Mind. State of control. We're getting into some deep stuff here. But the point is, all beings are incarnated on this planet to learn and grow spiritually upon and learn and abide by the laws of nature. In other words, work towards discovering the truth, help your fellow man understand it, and then align to it. And the rest is beautiful of what we can create. Obviously, that has the potentiality of things like chaos, but it's going to be guaranteed chaos if we move in the different direction. And so I just want to add as an aside, the reason why people always want to talk about what they don't want you to know, what they are doing, they. I'll have whole episodes in the future about who they are, but just alone, the religious authorities for one, and the government, the people that are really at the echelons of power, where they just desire control beyond money. They just want pure human control. Those people that are trying to hide this knowledge from you and keep a knowledge power differential, they do not want you to understand many things, but for one, they don't want you to understand your true nature, consciousness incarnated into the world to evolve. They don't want you to understand the kingdom of heaven is within, just like Christ said. They forget that part. They want you to think that the kingdom of heaven is in the afterlife, in a lovely cloudy realm, or if you just donate enough money into the plate every Sunday, heaven is waiting. They don't want you to understand your purpose here to evolve in consciousness and help your fellow man, to love thy neighbour as thyself, to do no harm. They don't want you to understand that you have a direct connection with Source. They want you to think that there's a mediator, a priest that stands in between. There is no membership needed. Divinity and true spiritual esoteric religion, the core, isn't a club that you join. It doesn't have a sign-up sheet, doesn't have an email list, it doesn't have a book even. It is written on the human heart. It doesn't cost any money. There is no permission needed. There's no one that stands in between. It is you realizing you are a divine being and that your fellow man is the same, and therefore you should respect him or her as just that. As one suffers, all suffer. That is one of the highest occult teachings that they don't want you to know. Because as soon as you realize, if I harm someone else, indirectly, I am harming God itself. I am hurting myself on some level, because we are all one. As much as the hippies want to go, yeah, we're all one, man, it's all love. Partly it is true, and it's unfortunate it's become a cliche. The job is to realise we are all one and the same, and we have to work together. Unity is the only way out. No matter what religion you have, no matter your culture, labels, whatever, ideally you can put them aside and throw them out. But at the very best, we can recognise them and realise division is not the way. Believe what the hell you want, who you want, when you want, take all the labels you want, for even if you want to. But understand, do not impose it upon anyone else, especially the children. And hey, then we can live in harmony, sure. But just don't think that, especially government, is the be-all and end-all, and that you must obey, because as soon as, that's why government's such a bad religion to follow, harm comes about. Because if you don't agree with those laws, I mean, with Christianity, at the very best, you're going to get someone shouting at you, telling you you're going to go to hell. But with government, it gets a little more serious than that. They can put you away for life in a cage for something that they said is wrong, because you didn't give them enough money that they arbitrarily set for you to give them from your labour that you did, from something that you sold in a voluntary trade. They have to take their cut because it's just another religion. It's a mafia, but it's been euphemised. It's a whole different episode in itself. So drop the labels, realise you are one with the Creator. We are all one. Follow universal morality, the true natural law, creationary laws. Think for yourself. Align your thoughts, emotions and actions in of itself, but then align those with natural law. Do no harm. Don't steal in any form of any of the 7 transgressions. And try your very best to help your fellow man do the same, and work for the evolution of the whole planet. And you have a moral obligation to do so in a world that is rapidly declining into tyranny, into a place that we cannot turn back from. There is no pope, no politician, no professor that can give you God. The divine is discovered. It's not donated to. It is accessed through direct experience and research and knowledge. It's not inherited belief. It is your spiritual freedom. It doesn't require anyone's permission. It requires self-autonomy and the realization that you are a sovereign being. And so, the final topic, the thing to summarize this all together, if you really want to have a label, if you really want to create yourself a religion, if you want to see yourself as something other than just pure consciousness experiencing itself, spirituality is the way. I'm not talking about woo-woo spiritual, yeah man. I'm talking about the esoteric of spirituality, and this is once again in the word. Spirit, spirare, in the Latin, to breathe, or S-P-I-R, spire, spiral, the circle that goes inwards and upwards, or goes outwards and downwards, either evolving or devolving. And your job is to realise this exists first, and then move gradually inwards and inwards into knowledge, more and more and more inwards, and as you go in, you'll go up the cone, up the spire, That's why there is an occult symbol to the spiral staircase. It's inwards and upwards, and it will raise you higher and higher and higher up through that point, not only into the stars, literally and metaphorically. It will get you closer to God, and it will allow you to progress up that from the contracted consciousness into the expansive divine consciousness of true spirituality. That is what it truly means. It's the path of the spire, of the cone. That's the difference between religion and spirituality. Religion just says, take this, here's your belief system, here's maybe your set of rituals, and do this, do that, because I said so. Here's your set of authority, job done. When spirituality says, you have the power, you are to do the work, do it, and then help others do the same. As within, so without. Boom. Job done. It's an oversimplification, of course, but that's how it goes. There is no authority. Authority is an illusion. The only authority is the authority of the Creator. The only true governance is governance of self. There is no separation. We are all one. We spoke about this. As one suffers, all suffer. Christ spoke about this. Love thyself, thy neighbour as thyself, because they are one and the same. That's what he was saying, not just, be kind to people, give people flowers and hope that they'll give you some back one day. It goes beyond that. Esoteric versus the exoteric once again. Try and learn the different symbols and cycles of nature. Deal with the occult, the light occult, not just the dark occult, because the occult just means hidden, for a future episode. And on top of all of this, practice some spiritual practices. You don't have to go to church on Sunday. You don't have to do your multiple prayers a few times a day, even though prayer can actually be beneficial, and affirmations, things like that. Meditation's great. Yoga's great, all if done consciously and properly. Do not have a group identity. Don't be a joiner. Don't have an ism. Don't have a thought cage, a prison, a mental prison. Don't have a label, a belief system. Follow pure awareness, follow truth, knowledge, wisdom. Truth, love, and freedom is the ultimate religion. And beyond all of this, other than being a spiritual being, you want to follow the middle path, the center path. Obviously, we've spoke about in the past, and I won't spend too much time on it. Walking this side and walking this side is not enough, because it's constant division and schism, just like the brain, just like politics. Recognize both, take the truth from both, combine and walk that middle path. Just like we saw with the brain, combine the hemispheres, combine the three Trinity aspects, become one within. Unify yourself, gain true wisdom, and walk that middle path, that middle pillar. The truth is found in the middle, the truth is found in within, and this is the true third way. Constantly question everything, find and work for freedom, get beyond the boxes, work for internal monarchy and external anarchy. Ooh, scary anarchy. It's another episode in the future. This is the real power to this. So I won't go about on this any longer, because this has been a real long one, but it's been a powerful one. I'm sure you can at least appreciate that. This is the crux of all I speak about. And if people watch this one video alone and it got huge, the world would be so much more different. If people only started speaking out about this, but instead they follow the big dollar. That's all they care about. So they don't speak about religions being nonsense. No. They like their followers. They like their money and their sponsorships. So they won't speak about this, but they'll talk about, I'm a Christian now, I'm a Republican now, because it gets them more followers, it gets them publicity and popularity. It's all nonsense. Look within, serve and help your fellow man. As one suffers, all suffer. Divine intelligence is all around you. Your power is dormant within you, like a coiled snake at the bottom of your spine. Raise it up and become one. If you were to take anything from this video, it's this. Become the black sheep. Don't just be the sheep being led to the slaughterhouse, just following the crowd and what you were once raised with. Become the black sheep. Question what you were once told. Rationalize it. Follow knowledge. Continuously learn and grow and improve. And don't just cling on to your mindset that was given to you based on mostly junk. Think for yourself. Become a holistic, unified, real spiritual being. And then you can take your power back. That's why they called Jesus the Good Shepherd, because he would lead the sheep properly to realize you don't have to be a sheep. You can awaken to who you really are. You can become anyone and anything that you desire. First, you have to stop doing the things that you did and are doing that are detrimenting you and everyone around you. Awaken to who you really are. Start doing what's right. And realize that the chains that bind humanity are not made of metal. They're made of belief. They're made with wrong action. And as they say, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. The prison that holds billions of us doesn't have any bars, doesn't have any walls, or, well, it has guards. We don't see them as that. They just simply, it's consisting of conditioned minds that have forgotten their own power. And once you take that back, only then can we change the world. Please like the video, share it with as many people as you can so we can really get this message out there and help change the world. Because I can't do this alone. It's not just for me to do, it's for all of us to do. Share it, like, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff. Do the best you can as a spiritual, holistic human. Comment how much you can appreciate this message or how much you might even disagree with it. I hope you've gained immense value from this, because this is a checkpoint of the information I'm putting out there is only going to get more and more controversial, direct, powerful. I know this was a long one, but if you stayed this far, you've got to drop a like, because you're a real one. You just know that you are a chosen one if you made it this far in this video. So kudos to you. It's only going to get more deeper in the future. Let me know what's awakened you. Hope you've appreciated the information. This has been Morality Matters. Remember, there is only one rule. Do no harm. No masters, no slaves. Remember who you are. You have the power. I'll see you next time.